Greetings everyone, my name is Jonathan Bailey. I'm from the website Plagiarism Today, which can be found at plagiarismtoday.com. I am a copyright and plagiarism expert with 18 years experience in the field. I have testified before federal and state courts as well as academic tribunals on plagiarism related matters. And if that sounds interesting to you, please check out my consulting site at copybyte.com, copybyte.com. Want to make sure you didn't commit plagiarism? Want to avoid being the subject of one of these videos in the future? I can help. Copybyte.com for more information about all the various services I provide. However, do bear in mind, I am not a lawyer. This is not legal advice. And honestly, if you're getting your legal advice from YouTube, you're probably doing it wrong anyway. On that note, everyone, I wanted to calm things down today. It's been a little tense around here. You've had the YouTube drama, the political plagiarism scandals. It's been tense. So I kind of wanted to dial things down. I wanted to do a topic that in no way could engender controversy, could create the spicy comments that I've been seeing. Yeah, I've been seeing you down there. You know who you are. And basically, I wanted to take it easy. So, of course, to do that, I've decided to talk about Wizards of the Coast, Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, and generative AI art. I'm in danger. That's right, we're going to be kicking that particular hornet's nest as we'll be talking about Wizards of the Coast and their recent generative AI art debacle, if you will. And we're going to specifically understand why their fans are so upset about it. Even though the company is most likely not directly responsible for the issue, fans still feel very betrayed, and I think they have every right to. So, with that in mind, let's begin with a little bit of context. Okay, to understand why hardcore fans of Wizards of the Coast are so upset right now, we have to actually do our favorite thing on this channel and get some context. And to do that, we're going to first go back to April 2021. That was when Wizards of the Coast, and in this case Magic the Gathering, had their first, we'll just say, of the recent plagiarism or artistic integrity scandals. See, in April 2021, it was noticed that artist Jason Felix had plagiarized two characters on a card, one from a piece of fan art and another from another card. Now, this one actually was a flash and you miss it type of thing because Wizards of the Coast quickly cut ties with Felix. Felix also admitted to the plagiarism, claimed to be overworked, and apparently did something, it was unclear exactly what, but did something to compensate the artists that were plagiarized. And stories seemed to go away. But then we got to fast forward to 2023, which, by the way, though it was a banner year for Wizards of the Coast financially, especially with the release of Baldur's Gate 3, it was not a good year for them in terms of their interactions with their fans. I'm not going to go into all the stuff that happened in that year. It would make this video really, really long. But definitely check out the original post on Plagiarism Today about this because a lot went down in this year. But we're going to fast forward to August 2023 when Twitter user NeverNotDM noticed, we'll just say, artwork that was appearing in official D&D guides that looked a little bit AI-ish. Basically, it was AI. And the artist, whose name unfortunately I cannot pronounce and I will not even attempt it, I'll just put their name down here somewhere, admitted to having used AI to quote-unquote polish the work in question. Now, Wizards of the Coast said that they would update their policy to make it clear to all their artists that they would be banning the use of AI, so there was a lot of rejoicing that they would not be jumping on the AI train, so to speak, because, and this is something we're going to get into in more detail, this is an audience that really values and appreciates the human artists that create the works. And that's kind of where we are right now, right? We've had one plagiarism scandal, one AI scandal, and Wizards of the Coast seem to handle both quite well. We've shown now that the audience for these products is very savvy about these things and very passionate about these things. Clearly, Wizards of the Coast would recognize the importance of this and set processes in place to prevent a repeat of either of these scandals. But since you clicked on this video, you already know that's not the case, so we might as well just keep moving to November 2023, when another Magic the Gathering scandal struck, this one involving artist David Sonderd, who was accused of using fan art in the background of one of his cards. Once again, Wizards of the Coast cut ties, but there were a lot of thorny questions this go around, centering around, well, how did it happen? We get it. You process thousands and thousands of pieces of artwork for these projects, but you're not checking? You didn't learn anything from April 2021? There was a lot of frustration here, especially given the fact, like I said, that this exact thing had happened less than 3 years prior. It was incredibly frustrating. So that raises a simple question. Did they do better with their AI policy? Yeah, well, you clicked the video. I think you know what's going on. And that in turn brings us to today. So on January 4th, Wizards of the Coast on their official X/Twitter account posted this marketing image. This was designed to highlight 5 cards from an upcoming set that they were printing. And yeah, the cards do look really good, but suddenly it was the background that got the attention. See, the image uses like this steampunk/Victorian England background. At first blush, looks pretty cool. But as people began to zoom into it, they noticed a lot of problems. For example, the gauge, well, it doesn't look right, and in fact, it looks like someone took an AI-generated gauge and then pasted a real gauge on top of it, which is because that's exactly what they did. And you have wires that seem to go nowhere, and nobody knows what the hell's going on with those light bulbs. Basically, telltale signs of AI generation. And fans who had been promised just months before that they would not be allowing the use of AI were kind of gobsmacked by this. But then things went from bad to worse when confronted with what I can only describe as clear evidence, because, I mean, look at it. It's very, very bad. It's very clearly AI generated. It doesn't take, I'm not an expert on detecting images generated by AI. I'm mostly a text guy, but you don't need to be an expert to see this. It's very clearly problematic. It's either terrible art or AI generated. It's the kind of thing you hope it's AI generated, but I digress. When confronted with very clear evidence of AI generation, Wizards of the Coast actually said, no, this was done by humans. They just very definitively said, no, this was not AI generated, a human being made this. Now, they've since admitted that they just simply took the word of a marketing vendor that they used and realistically didn't know that it actually was AI generated, specifically that it was used with an AI fill tool that's part of Photoshop. And yeah, they apologized for it, and once again, they said they're going to expand their policies to make sure that it's in all aspects of it, including their marketing. So apparently when they made the decision to, ban AI art, they only actually put that into policy for their artists. I'm a little unclear on this. So now they say they're going to expand it to include all forms of visual output that they do, including marketing. But yeah, it's understandable when you put it in this context where fans have been burned over and over and over again by plagiarism and AI scandals, and they seem to keep happening despite Wizards of the Coast saying that they're going to clamp down on it and they're not going to allow it. It's frustrating. And I frankly understand the fans. Now look, I'll be honest. I haven't played Magic the Gathering in about 25 years, and my D&D days are well in my past. That said, I have love for Wizards of the Coast too. I have a lot of great memories attached to this company, and this stuff hurts. This really does suck. Even as a casual fan, I find this painful. So that raises a simple question. What should Wizards of the Coast do now? What can they do to prevent this from happening? Well, I would say the first step is to actually have a policy on this. You see, that's one of the issues I have with the way Wizards of the Coast have handled these cases. They've repeatedly said this is against our policies, we do not allow this, or we're adding this to our policy, we're expanding the policy, etc. But all they seem to be doing is writing it down and saying, yeah, we don't allow this. A policy that is in words only is fairly meaningless. The company clearly needs to take other action. Now, after the 2021 scandal, I suggested thoroughly investigating Felix's work from the entire time he'd been with them. A simple idea that I don't believe was actually done. And establishing new procedures for trying to detect plagiarized images. Now, I get it. I have a lot of sympathy for Wizards of the Coast. They handle a ton of images. Between Magic the Gathering, Dungeons & Dragons, all the marketing they do, a lot of material goes through them. And I understand the challenge of trying to determine that all that is authentic and original. It is not easy. And even the best laid processes are going to have holes in them. That said, Wizards of the Coast, if they have a process, haven't actually talked about it at any point. And that is incredibly frustrating because, as we've said, these things seem to keep happening and happening more frequently now. So they need to be able to take action. And the other problem I have with this most recent AI scandal is that if anyone at Wizard of the Coast had seriously looked at this image, like really examined it before putting it out there, I think they would have seen the issues for themselves. This wasn't, like I said, a very clever job hiding the AI. It was pretty obvious, even to someone like me that, like I said, has no expertise in that field. I definitely would have pegged that as AI. Honestly, it felt AI-ish when zoomed out. So I might have zoomed in and I might have seen a lot of those errors myself. Basically, they're not actually having a policy other than the words. A good policy needs to, yes, have the rules and the words, but it also has to have a means for enforcing it and repercussions for when that policy is violated. And right now, it seems pretty clear that Wizards of the Coast does not have the latter two steps in this process. So, if I were guiding Wizards of the Coast on this, my advice would actually be very simple. One, draft these policies, make them very clear, and make them public. State what you're going to do to prevent both human and AI plagiarism. And then tell people what the repercussions are should those policies be violated, should they detect anyone. Now, like I said, no system, especially when dealing with images and especially when dealing with the volume that they do, is going to be perfect. But they can and should be able to catch cases like this one and the one from and the second plagiarism case, because there are tools that can spot these things. In the case of the AI one, human eyes would be the tool. Human eyes, pretty good tool for that, actually, turns out. So, yeah, a policy for examining incoming works and a policy to determine what repercussions should happen if an artist or a vendor violates those policies. That's not a lot to ask, especially for a company as large as Wizards of the Coast. This is just basic stuff. And the fact that it wasn't implemented after those previous scandals is incredibly frustrating. And like I said, I come at this as a casual fan, or perhaps more of a lapsed fan. But regardless, it hurts me to see it, and it hurts me to badmouth Wizards of the Coast. But we are where we are. Even though they are not directly responsible for any of the incidents I've discussed, their negligence enabled it. And they need to stop doing that, because these issues are not going away. Artists will plagiarize again in the future. AI is not going to become less of a thing over the next couple of years. They need to be ready, and to be ready, they need a policy that can actually deal with the issues, not just pay lip service to them. Well, on that note, everyone, thank you very much for joining me. Once again, my name is Jonathan Bailey from the site Plagiarism Today. Please check out the articles in the description. There are more details there if you would like to learn more about these issues or see some more of the sources. But until next time, this is Jonathan Bailey, signing off.